This is Accurate TV News,
where you get your news on time, on point, and online. Ammunition seized in St Andrew, man charged and teen in custody. The police are reporting the seizure of a magazine with 10 9mm rounds of ammunition along Distribution Boulevard in St Andrew and the arrest and charge of a man. 35-year-old Headley Ennis of Chester Avenue, Kingston 11, has been charged with illegal possession of ammunition and assault at common law. The police say Ennis and a teen boy were accosted in relation to the incident, which happened on Friday. Reports from the Hunts Bay Police are that about 9 a.m., lawmen received information that a man was seen chasing another man with a firearm. The police were summoned, and on their arrival, Ennis and the teen were apprehended. Both were searched, and the magazine with the ammunition was found in Ennis' possession, according to the police. They were taken into custody, where Ennis was charged. Decomposing body found in St. Catherine. A decomposing body was found today in bushes near the Caymanes entrance to the North-South Highway in St. Catherine. The deceased is yet to be identified. The discovery was made by passerby who raised an alarm. The police were called to the scene and the body was removed to the morgue. Prayer amid bloodshed as state fights back. Locals in crime-weary St. Catherine are not only banking on the government to save them from the bloody tide wreaking havoc, especially in the capital, but are also sending up prayers to heaven for a reprieve from the violence. While Prime Minister Andrew Holness' announcement of a state of emergency SOE be imposed in the parish on Friday provides some relief that a development of heavily armed force could provide some security and weed out outlaws. Many who have witnessed the recent killing in the Market District remain uneasy. I feel sad over the condition, but anyway, God, we will hold the faith, as when you feel discouraged, you walk under Jesus' blood, said an elderly woman in the market. She urged Jamaicans to pray for protection when exiting their homes and give thanks whenever they return home safe. Commissioner of Police Anthony Anderson announced at a press briefing on Friday morning that there are 12 active gang rivalries in the parish, which have resulted in multiple gun attacks and fatalities. 82 people have been arrested for possession of illegal firearm, ammunition, or both. The police have also seized 59 illegal guns, an increase of 28% compared to last year. Despite this, Anderson assured Jamaicans that the police would continue to prosecute gangs and gang members as they lead active community engagement programs across the parish. He reported that as at June 15, the St. Catherine North Police Division has recorded 70 murders and 51 shootings, representing an increase of 52% and 72% respectively when compared to the corresponding period in 2021. The St. Catherine South Division has recorded 58 homicides, the same figure for the corresponding period last year, while there has been 23% increase in shooting on the 43 record last year. 6 weeks ago, the St Andrew.St Police Division was experiencing a reduction in murder by 40%. The recent conflicts in the St Andrew.North Division have extended themselves into southern section of the parish to include Portmore and Old Harbour, Anderson reported. He noted that the parish-wide SOE was declared to widen the net to capture migrating criminals seeking to hide out in various sections of the parish. We've seen the data. We have demonstrated through previous SOEs that this methodology have been very effective in quickly reducing violent crime, he asserted. While making their way through the old capital, two elderly women told the Gleaner that they appreciate the effort of those working to ensure their safety. Business operators have lamented experiencing difficulties conducting trade in a tense atmosphere, with things becoming especially more difficult after this week's explosion. But if it is something to ease down the tension, we will work with it, one butcher shop worker said of the SOE's implementation. He, however, remained concerned about its long-term effectiveness, stating that once it was discontinued, the criminals would return. He proposed that security personnel consider setting up small camps in all the communities in which gun violence has been rampant to restore calm. One market vendor pointed to a location near her stall that she had designated as a safe haven should there be a need to dart for cover in a split moment. Anything can happen, and at any time. One bartender from Cumberland Road, one of the hotspots of gang warfare, has opted to quit her job, noting that she did not live in the area. She deemed it too risky to leave her community to work in a violence-prone environment. Dennis Robothon, president of the St Catherine Chamber of Commerce, told the Gleaner that Friday had appeared promising for businesses, but with ongoing violence, fear is an understatement of what the people were experiencing. The relatively few shoppers out on what would have normally been a busy day for commerce was signing off for him that normality had not yet returned. But I think with the presence of the security forces, that is a little comforting for the business people and the consumer, he said. Robothon noted that the business people of Spanish Town were resilient because they were well versed in the management of scenarios like this. He recommended that more people install public-facing surveillance cameras to boost the island-wide Jamaica Eye network designed to boost security, confident that this would put a dent in criminal activity. Andrew Wheatley, the Member of Parliament for St Catherine.South Central, told the Gleaner that he was in support of the declaration of the SOE as it would help citizens to feel at ease. He noted that in his own constituency, residents have been fearful of the uptick in violence and the death of several innocent people caught up in the bloodshed as rival gangsters target each other's relatives. Man escapes robbery on church grounds in Manchester. A Manchester man is counting his blessing after escaping an armed robber who attacked him as he left a church meeting in the Cedar Grove district in the parish on Wednesday night. According to preliminary reports, at approximately 7:30 p.m., the man was preparing to leave the church grounds when he was pounced upon by a gunman who demanded the keys to his vehicle. The victim managed to escape in his motor car but was grazed by a bullet after his attacker opened fire. Dying mom sends heartfelt message to her kids. Donovan Williams stood at his common-law wife's bedside at the Spanish Town Hospital in St Catherine on Wednesday night and watched helplessly as she took her last breath. His partner of over 22 years, Nikisha Pottinger, was fighting for her life and doctors were feverishly trying to save her. She was among 2 persons from the Homestead area in the parish who were attacked Wednesday, the latest victim of a flare-up in gun violence that is threatening to bring the whole capital to its knees. Despite the best effort of the medics, Pottinger died. A grief-stricken Williams shared that Pottinger, with whom he shared 5 children, gave him a very important message to deliver to her children. She said, "Tell the kids them say me love them and remember the promise where you give me 15 years ago," said Williams with tears running down his cheek. He explained that the promise was that I will never allow myself nor the children to get caught up in violence due to the violence that often plague the area, and I've been trying to shield them from it ever since. Pottinger was shot at her gate while talking to a relative. William described her as a loving mother who made it her life's duty to care for her children. He told the Weekend Star that her loss will now make it difficult to celebrate Father's Day on Sunday. "I am always busy because I do mechanic work, so the bulk of the parenting is carried out by her. She never showed me one bad side yet as a parent. She is one of the best mother. I'm losing her and is the worst possible gift one could ask for because Father's Day," she said. "She is a good woman, always looking out for others, even when she doesn't have anything to give. She always tell her kid that a kindness and a manner bring people through the world," he said. Hours before Pottinger's shooting, the body of Ricardo Gardiner was found on the back seat of a Toyota Probox, wrapped up in a tarpaulin in Portmore Villas. Also in St. Catherine, the body of another man, only identified as Blacks, was also discovered. Gardiner's common-law wife Diana Davis said he was not involved in any gang activities. "War a gwan in ya and him no business. Him no in a no war or conflict when me know of. Cause a him try keep the peace sometime in a the community. Him always talk to the man them say them fi behave themselves. Because a one nickel community," she said. Davis said that she lost Sir Gardner on Tuesday night before he left with a friend. She now regrets not getting a chance to say goodbye. "Me always beg God say, if him dead, no make me shed no tears. But from me get the call, me no stop cry. Because him did good to me regardless of the differences what we have. Every now and then. When him a leave out of the yard, him just step right past me, not even tell me say him a head out. But I saw we go on when we vex with each other. But him always come back," she said. Residents have theorized that the killings are related to the criminal infightings. Despite the increased presence of the security forces, residents say that they are still in fear as rival gangs continue to battle in the area. The tension was evident yesterday when the news team visited the community, as many of the residents were reluctant to speak. Judge to rule on Black man no case submission on Monday. Chief Justice Brian Skies is to rule on Monday whether Andre Blackman Bryan, the alleged leader of the Klansman One Dan gang, and 23 of his co-accused will continue to stand trial in the ongoing gang trial in the Home Circuit Court. No case submissions have been made for 24 of the 28 remaining defendants who were initially charged on a 25 counts indictment for being a part of a criminal organization. The majority of the defense lawyers have been submission in hope of getting the entire case against their client thrown out. However, in the case of Bryan, his lead attorney, Lloyd McFarlane, has challenged only one of the 13 remaining counts against him. The high-profile case commenced last September with 33 defendants, including one female. 4 of the defendants, Damaine Elliston, Roshane Williams, Rivaldo Hilton, and Owen Armsby, were freed after the Crown indicated that it did not have sufficient evidence to mount a case against them. A 5th defendant, Dwayne Solomon, was freed after the trial judge upheld no case submission against him. On Thursday, Justice Skies adjourned the matter after the prosecution made closing arguments in its response to the defense no-case submission. Prior to the adjournment, the judge again raised concern about the prosecution's failure to present certain evidence to support its case. He pointed, for example, to the August 2015 murder of Damaine Dooley Forrester on Chancery Street in St Andrew. 2 former members of the One Don gang had testified that Bryan ordered the hit on Forrester, who was a backpacker at a supermarket. The officer who processed the scene testified that she had taken photographs, but that the compact disc on which they were stored disappeared. She also said that the server on which the images were stored developed problems and crashed, resulting in the photographs being lost. That's why I say it seemed to be a faith-based statement. We must accept it on faith, the judge remarked after being told there was no evidence to support the police report that a homicide had been committed. Can't be that you have a homicide in the 21st century and you have no record, said the judge, while indicating that this was similar to another alleged murder in the case where there is no record. If the police officers recover these things, they don't have to record it somewhere. Contemporaneous records, they don't have to be stored somewhere. They don't have exhibit register. So even if you say the image of the photograph are lost, computer crash, there is not even a record from the lab to say receive these items, he said. So it doesn't just end with, oh, I can't find the photographs, said Chief Justice Brian Skies. School uses sunlight to preserve food. The Sydney Pagan STEM Academy is leading the way to ending food waste through solar dehydration. This is the process of preserving foods by drying them using the sun. While this process can occur naturally by leaving food like fruits and vegetables to the elements, using a solar dehydrator protects the food from bugs, dust, and any debris that could contaminate it. Once the produce is dried, the food shelf life is extended, allowing it to be further processed into a variety of products, including flour. The principal of the St. Elizabeth-based secondary institution, Milbert Miller, told the Weekend Star that the school has been experimenting with the science for several years, even entering its own prototype at the Denby Agricultural Show. The concept of the solar dehydrator at our school really began with our school entering at Denby competition using Red Bull cans. It worked, so the concept wasn't new, he said. Though the prototype, which was built by maintenance supervisor Robin Roden, served them well, the school received a donation of 7 solar dehydrators from philanthropic entity Trees That Feed Foundation. Roden, who has dedicated his entire life to this form of food conservation and preservation, said this is the way Jamaicans ought to be going in terms of food preservation and conservation. It doesn't take anything to operate the solar dehydrator. Strictly so, no electricity, he said. You can dry mangoes, pumpkin, bananas, plantain, turmeric, ginger, and the shelf life for those could last up to 3 to 4 years, properly packed and stored in a dry place. Often staying at the school to make adjustments and modification up to 3 a.m. some days. Roden said, I can't tell you this much. I would recommend a solar dehydrator for any home, for any individual who is seeking self-employment. It can do just that for you. You wouldn't have to work for anybody. Currently, school administrators are using the food that has been preserved to supply the home economic department, the breakfast program, as well as other St. Elizabeth schools. For example, I did some dried pineapples and some mangoes, and the home economics department utilized it. Breadfruit they would use to make some stuff like some cookies, and there are a couple of schools in St. Elizabeth that I used to supply with breadfruit flour for their breakfast feeding program, said Roden.